Imagine it's 3 a.m. and you're staring at your phone screen, scrolling through the same old short videos. Your eyelids feel as heavy as if they were weighed down by lead, yet your fingers mechanically repeat the downward swipe. You tell yourself, just one more, but half an hour later, you're still trapped in this empty cycle. You might think it's just simple procrastination, or a lack of self-control, but no, it's merely the tip of the iceberg of your collapsing mental world. When you carefully try to please everyone at work and echo opinions you don't even agree with just to fit in, when you go on a shopping spree, buying clothes you'll never wear and cosmetics you'll never use, thinking that it will fill the void in your heart, when you talk about lying flat and giving up, but still stay up late at night feeling anxious and sleepless over your lack of accomplishments, have you ever thought that these seemingly ordinary moments are pushing you towards the abyss of mental despair? You have become the embodiment of what algorithms recommend, a symbol manufactured by consumerism and a puppet of others' expectations. You think this is a life of free choice, but where exactly do the boundaries of freedom lie? Are you the master of your own destiny, or has some invisible force already written your script? In this era that seems prosperous yet is incredibly fragile, do all your struggles and confusions point to a deeper question? How can we find meaning in our lives amidst the void? Can Nietzsche's philosophy of the Übermensch truly be the antidote for us to find our way out of this spiritual desert? Let us now peel back the facade of life and touch the essence of this harsh reality. To understand the deep-seated mechanisms behind these everyday dilemmas, we need to delve into the profound realms of psychology and philosophy. The concept of the collective unconscious, proposed by Jung, is like an invisible web that weaves together the spiritual codes passed down through generations of humanity, and you are unknowingly dancing within this web. The values and behavioral patterns that you take for granted may have been sown as seeds in ancient times, subtly shaping every choice you make. Looking at the era in which Nietzsche lived, the Christian moral system was collapsing, and nihilism was sweeping through like a tidal wave. His proclamation that God is dead was, in fact, a reminder that when the faiths, authorities, and established rules you once relied on crumble, you must face the absurdity and meaninglessness of life alone. Modern people, who seem to enjoy unprecedented freedom, are instead plunged into deeper confusion. Isn't this precisely the dilemma that Nietzsche foresaw? Consumerism tells you that buying certain goods can bring happiness and a sense of identity. Social media constructs an illusory self-worth through likes and followers. Aren't these the new gods of our time, controlling you? Schopenhauer believed that life is full of suffering. When our desires are unfulfilled, we suffer, and once they are fulfilled, we fall into emptiness. You might be frantically scrolling through short videos or buying luxury goods, seemingly in pursuit of happiness, but in reality, you're just trying to fill an endless void of desire. Each fleeting satisfaction is followed by a sense of emptiness, perpetuating this cycle of suffering. The deeper you get entangled in it, the harder it becomes to see your true needs. You may think you are in control of your life, but in truth, you have long become a puppet controlled by your desires and societal conditioning. And all of this is just the tip of the iceberg. Even darker abysses await your exploration. Are you really ready to face them? I'm not quite clear whether you mean to further expand based on this list of topics, or to continue with the third part of the script for Nietzsche's philosophy of the Übermensch. A spiritual antidote for the age of vulnerability. If you want to proceed with the script, I can generate the third part titled Invisible Consequences for you. If you have other needs, feel free to let me know. When you unconsciously comply with these invisible rules, the consequences have already quietly spread throughout your life. On an individual level, cognitive biases trap you in a cycle of self-deception. You become obsessed with the perfect lives of others as portrayed on social media, devaluing yourself in comparison, while ignoring the falseness and deliberate curation behind these displays. Your brain's reward mechanisms are precisely manipulated by algorithms, with the instant gratification from short videos continually reinforcing your behavior. This gradually erodes your ability to think deeply and focus, leaving you adrift in the flood of information. When scaled up to the level of social structure, this spiritual dilemma is shaping a distorted group ecology. The excessive competition bred by consumerism has trapped people in a vicious cycle of involution, where everyone is like a wound-up machine, running themselves ragged without knowing what they are fighting for. As more and more people abandon independent thinking and blindly follow trends, the innovative vitality and diverse values of society are gradually being stifled. Even more frightening is that this collective descent into unconsciousness can cause the entire society to lose its direction in nihilism, leading to stagnation and decline. You may not yet realize that every compromise and every instance of blind conformity at this moment is pushing you deeper into a spiritual quagmire. When you try to struggle and find a way out, you discover that you may not yet realize that every compromise and every instance of blind conformity at this moment is pushing you deeper into a spiritual quagmire. When you try to struggle and find a way out, you discover that invisible shackles have already surrounded you. But is this predicament truly unsolvable? How can Nietzsche's philosophy of the Übermensch break through this seemingly impenetrable cage? Let's explore together the ways to break free that challenge conventional thinking. Beneath the seemingly glamorous facade of modern society, the mental struggles you are experiencing are quietly and fatally reshaping the trajectory of your life. On an individual level, as you constantly conform to external standards and suppress your true self, it is as if you are building a prison deep within your soul. You gradually lose control over your life, and each time you ignore your inner voice, you move one step further away from genuine freedom. Over time, you fall into a state of being a hollow person, appearing to have everything on the surface, but feeling empty inside, unable to find the true meaning of your existence. When scaled up to the societal level, this collective mental fragility is akin to a chronic plague. When the majority of people abandon the pursuit of becoming unique individuals, and instead choose to drift along in the safe zone of mediocrity, society as a whole loses its drive for innovation and breakthroughs. Consumerism and a culture that prioritizes entertainment to the extreme fragment people's attention. You may think you are enjoying the joy of free choice, but in reality, you are firmly trapped in the vast web woven by capital and technology. The era of the last man that Nietzsche once feared seems to be approaching, a time when people are content with shallow pleasures, have lost their aspiration for excellence, and are heading towards spiritual decay in the midst of a nihilistic revelry. Translation: in the midst of a nihilistic revelry, they are heading towards spiritual decay. What's even more terrifying is that this mental predicament is extremely covert and contagious. The people around you and the environment you are in subtly reinforce this mode of existence. By the time you realize you are trapped, you may already be deeply ensnared and find it difficult to break free. But is this really an unbreakable fate? Can Nietzsche's philosophy of the Übermensch help us cut through this thick fog? Let's explore together the path of rebellion that can break this cage. True rebellion begins at the moment you tear away the false facade of life. Nietzsche's philosophy of the Übermensch does not advocate for the worship of power or elitism, rather, it throws a soul-stirring question at you. When the old value systems collapse, do you have the courage to become your own lawgiver? Traditional notions often tell you to be content with what you have and that it's safer to follow the crowd, but the philosophy of the Superman of Übermensch precisely encourages you to break free from this self-induced numbness. Just like Steve Jobs, who, despite the rational advice of market research, stubbornly believed that consumers don't know what they want, and ultimately redefined the mobile phone with the iPhone. Or like Elon Musk, who repeatedly challenged the impossible in the aerospace industry, and amid widespread skepticism, founded SpaceX. These individuals, who truly live with clarity and purpose, embody the core of the Superman philosophy, not being bound by established rules, not compromising with mediocrity, and proactively giving meaning to their own lives. This may sound counterintuitive, but think about it. The fear of being different is essentially a submission to the norms of the group. When you realize that you are the sole creator of your life's meaning, you can break free from the shackles of shame. You no longer have to sacrifice your inner passions for the sake of what others consider success, nor measure your self-worth by the number of likes on social media. Embrace the absurdity of life, yet still choose to confront nihilism with vibrant vitality. This is the path to transcendence as guided by the philosophy of the Übermensch. You are stronger than you think, and now is the time to reclaim control of your life. When you truly understand Nietzsche's philosophy of the Übermensch, you will be struck by how it reveals not only a path to personal redemption, but also a complete subversion of modern civilization. The normal life you think you are living is merely a standardized template mass-produced by society. The sense of security you pursue is, in essence, a self-imposed castration of your own potential. The most fundamental revelation of the Übermensch philosophy is that the value of life has never lain in the success defined by external standards, but rather in whether you can, with a transcendent attitude, forge your life into a unique work of art. Just like Van Gogh, who, despite the pain of not being understood by the world during his lifetime, persistently used vivid colors to depict the starry sky in his heart, and Beethoven, who, in the desperate situation of deafness, composed the soul-stirring Ninth Symphony. They were not successful in the conventional sense, but with their solitary courage, they proved that true strength lies in still being able to create one's own meaning as a conqueror, after recognizing the truth of life. This is the ultimate truth of the philosophy of the Superman. It is not about making you a Superman who stands above others, but about transcending the old self that has been tamed by the environment and dominated by fear. In this fragile era, Nietzsche's philosophy is like a bolt of lightning piercing through the fog, reminding you that your very existence is a grand adventure. When you stop asking, "What does the world need me to be?" and start contemplating, "How do I define myself?" and when you dare to plant the seeds of meaning in the barren wasteland of nothingness, you have already completed the transformation from the last man to the overman. This awakening has no end. It is only a process of continuous transcendence. And are you, at this moment, ready to embark on this thrilling spiritual expedition?